I mean, I think this is such a good gig. It's like really simple in the sense that I show up, I make coffee. People are very happy usually to get their coffee. I go home. I don't continue to work once I'm home.
Hey guys, welcome. I'm here with Tara and this is Kind Brew. We're in Macaulay's Beach in Coffs Harbour. It's a beautiful sunny day. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
I wanted the opportunity to talk about your coffee trailer. A lot of people inquire with us about coffee trailers. A lot of people are finding out whether it's worth it, whether it's hard work, whether it's, you know, the dream that everyone envisions. And I'm just getting your take on it, pros and cons, and how some of the things, lessons you've learnt along the way.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. How long have you had this trailer for?
It'll be 2 years, September.
Cool.
Yeah.
And you've also got the other site in Woolgoolga. How long have you had that one for now?
Just over a year.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I guess, how's the experience been overall for you starting a coffee trailer business?
I love it.
Yeah.
I could do it forever. It's easy enough, obviously, that we have 2 locations.
Sure.
But yeah, it's great. It's mobile. It lets us have that sense of freedom. If there's events and things, or if we want to do festivals, we can say yes.
Cool.
And I love that freedom in
So you've done
doing this.
some events
Yeah.
with it?
Yeah.
How do you find just about like, you know, being able to take on last minute events or pull that together?
Yeah, great. We get asked all the time, and I feel like a lot of times people come here to order a coffee, get the idea to invite us to the event, and then that's kind of how we continue to grow into the event scene as well.
How do you, I guess, is there any, or that'd be pros, I guess, just being able to do events?
Yeah.
You're finding it flexible?
Yeah.
Any cons or things that you didn't foresee?
Yeah, I guess the only con is that, you know, you've got limited, not so much space. It's crazy what you can do with a small trailer like this, but you do have limited resources. So power is sometimes an issue.
Yeah.
But we run a generator at one of our locations. The other one we've got power.
Yeah.
And then the second thing would be water. So always having access to water, or making sure you've got enough water for, depending on what you're going to do.
Sure.
Day-to-day operations is fine, but bigger events, we definitely need a refill. So that would probably be the only thing, but usually it's not too much of a concern. We've got methods to be able to get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you find, I guess, in the power side of things, I know when we're planning out things, people really underestimate power.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how hard that can be.
Yeah.
You've got a generator in the back of your car. Does that generator live in your car all the time?
Yeah, it lives in my car all the time. The petrol doesn't, obviously, because it's a whole thing. But I would always go on the bigger side with generators. I think people try to undershoot it, and I just wouldn't do it. We've had no issues with our generator being able to fuel this, but I would just go on the bigger side.
Okay. How do you find staffing?
Staffing's pretty good. Like, I'm fortunate this is the backdrop. We're at the beach, so I do find staffing's pretty good if you can get your hands on baristas or people wanting to be baristas. But it's casual work, so it always is going to ebb and flow. And also with this setup, we have someone tow a trailer, so there's a whole other element to that. Whereas if it can be permanent, then it's just kind of a lock and key sort of situation.
Sure.
It's a bit easier.
So I know people have had issues before in the past finding staff that are willing to tow.
Yeah.
We've had other sites that much bigger trailers and much higher expectation on them to be able to tow big trailers. Challenging.
That's what I was going to say. I would suggest smaller is better. This is probably a 2-person trailer, but it's able to do all the things we want to do, except for if we were adding in lots of food choices, which we typically don't do. But
so you're limited on food options?
Yeah, I would say we could probably do a few more things, like the essentials, but at our other location, like we've got a pie warmer, we've got other things that we can throw in there. So it really just depends. But
so this is a 10-foot Spitfire?
Yeah, I think it's
10?
actually 8.
8-foot Spitfire?
Yeah, it's teeny tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Woolgoolga
the 10.
is the 10.
Yeah.
8 or 10?
Yeah,
Which
10.
would you go for?
I would actually go smaller.
Yeah.
So all of the people I've trained to tow have said they love it.
Yeah.
I think it stands out a little bit more being smaller.
Okay.
I get heaps of traffic of people who want to take a selfie with our Caravan.
Sure.
And yeah, it's just ease. It's convenient.
Yeah.
Like if you've got limited parking at home, convenient. This can fit anywhere. I've had days where I have to go to the shops with the Caravan, and I easily can do that. So I definitely suggest the small. I think it's easy. It's easier to clean. It's easier to tow. There's just a lot of perks to it, and you don't need much more than this. And I think that's sort of the misconception, is that you need a huge coffee cart.
At the end of the day, a lot of people trying to run businesses and make themselves an income.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's a hindrance on income to not have the offering of food and all of that, or is it balancing out as far as having a smaller offering and still being able to do it yourself?
I think a smaller offering, being able to do it yourself, makes enough money, and you're going to save thousands of dollars on the trailer in itself.
It's a bit of an outlay. It's a fair cost. I mean, people are often surprised by the cost of trailers when they start pricing them, especially when you buy nice ones.
Yeah.
And they don't always come perfect, fully fitted out, and there's a bit of work to get installed and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Any unexpected costs along the way that you...
We have had to do like repairs and additions and things, but nothing massive. I find that kind of, if you start with a clean slate and you do it right, like we used you guys, so it all happened correctly. But I'm imagining there would be some issues if you didn't know where to put different, cords, wires, all of that good stuff. But there hasn't been any sneaky surprises yet in terms of costs. I would just say if you do the right thing with the generator, if that's the method that you're doing, then you can't really go wrong. And then obviously water filtration as well. So I've done a few extra things there to make sure that the water quality is.
So you do have the perspective of both sites, and the other, and Woogooga you were towing, and now it's fixed.
Yeah, it's fixed.
Enjoying that?
Enjoying it so that I'm not constantly towing coffee carts.
How's the security on it?
Yeah, great.
Yeah?
Yeah, we haven't
because that was the
issues.
concern originally before it was fixed, was leaving a trailer in a location on a main road, and security's been alright, and
security's been so good, no problems so far. Thank goodness. There is an ease there where I can just train someone up and give them a key, and there's a much better flow. But I mean, I like both. There's pros and cons to both.
Yeah.
It would be easier if I could leave this here, but then it takes away from events and things depending on how I secure it to the site. So Whoopee is very secure. It's bolted down.
Yeah.
Whereas, I just wouldn't be able to do events with that trailer even if I wanted to.
Yeah. Events are, I guess, a income source. Like you find them, they really pay for themselves. I know that we get a lot of inquiries about events, and people say, do you have a trailer I can borrow for the weekend? That would be a big expense for us to have a trailer just sitting there ready for events. Yeah. But you're finding it's viable to be able to pull this in and out.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah, I love the events. It's just fun, something different. We get more clients that way. People see us at an event, they know that we're parked here now, they come get coffee here now. So it's a win-win.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So talking about events, is there any sort of guidance you can give to people, I guess, what it might not necessarily cost you, but in a day, and what do you have to consider when taking on events for a coffee trailer to make it viable to go and do them?
Yeah, so I guess the main thing is it going to affect our normal trading? And if it is it worth the risk?
Sure.
And so it's about knowing how many people are going to be at the event, is there other coffee, is there other food, and just kind of weigh up, what you think would happen. Yeah. Sometimes it is a bit of a gamble and a guessing game, but it doesn't hurt to at least try. Yeah. And then I guess the other things would be, again, access to water, access to power, and maybe having staff on standby or just bringing a second person with you. So there's extra costs involved in that as well. So if it is going to be a high turnover volume event, I would always have a second person. So considering those costs in as well.
Sure.
Some events do ask for a payment to be there. Some are free. So it's quite an interesting gamble with that, and I would consider that in your costs as well. It's not always worth paying to be at an event if you can just operate in your normal day-to-day. Yeah. So there are some things to consider, but I would say don't expect everyone to buy a coffee. It'd be great if they do, but it's not always the case. So even if they tell you it's going to be a 500-person event, you might get 100 coffee sales. So just consider those things and kind of aim on the lower side. Okay, so to make it viable to not be here, in a week, like kilos of coffee, I guess, to make it comfortable. Like obviously we want to, you want to get that
take?
Yeah.
Is there any kind of numbers that you're aiming for in a week of kilos per week that
Yeah.
you would like to be doing out of a trailer to make it
Yeah,
viable?
well, I mean, 10 is always like a baseline, like foundation, I would say, 10
Sure.
kilos. But the other thing to consider in the coffee cart world is weather.
Yes.
So people are really weather dependent, and
Yeah.
yes, we do have regulars that will still come rain or shine.
Yeah.
It can really play a part on it though. Weather can also be wind. So wind scares people away as
Okay.
well.
Yeah.
Which is okay, it just is part of it. But on a beautiful day like today, you know, you prefer
Yeah.
to be busy and
Yeah.
and that's sort of what you aim for, but you can't control the weather. So
Yeah.
I would say, you know, 10 minimum, but again, it always depends on the location
Yeah.
as well. And
Do you pay council fees? I know council is really challenging in
Yeah.
most locations, in cafes as well,
Yeah.
but trailers too. Like
Yeah.
you can't just pick any spot. I think a lot of people come to me and they're like, I just want to put a trailer there. And you're like, well, have you spoken to council? And then they realize how many hoops there are to jump through.
Yeah.
Did you have to jump through hoops? Are you still jumping through hoops and paying?
I will say, okay, so I think initially to get the spot you want is tricky, and
Yeah.
it's a little bit luck. This spot showing up when I had a coffee cart ready to go was luck.
Yeah.
But I will say I'm super grateful that it is secured through council, because otherwise I would show up here in the morning and there would be 4 other coffee carts
True.
trying to demand the same spot. So there's pros and cons to that.
Yeah.
Once you kind of secure the lease, you've got that length of time. I think through this council, it's usually about 3 years that you can secure.
Yeah.
After that, you cannot guarantee the spot again. You have to
Yeah.
reapply and it's opened back up to the public.
Yeah.
So again, I'm going to say that's luck.
Sure.
So there is a level of uncertainty in running your business through a council lease, because they will not continue to renew your lease. You have to reapply. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I think, yeah, it's actually pretty fine, because you know what you're going into. The lease hasn't changed on me. No terms have changed on me. I know what's expected.
Yeah.
And I know what I get from that as well.
I think something that people like the idea of is some flexibility and some lower overheads.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you've got that in the
Yeah,
trailer?
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, what we pay council to be here is a lot lower than a commercial lease.
Sure.
So it is a really good way to build your business. And my suggestion would be, if you're kind of considering both worlds, you could build your coffee cart business and then
Yeah.
maybe expand into a commercial lease. So if
Yeah.
it is something you want to do long term, that would be the way I would suggest doing it.
My fear would be the detriment of a week of weather.
Yeah.
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 I think there's a bit more fear involved in that scenario.
For sure.
Security wise,
Yeah.
for people to be able to know that they're going to have those customers each week.
Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes having a fixed location can
Yeah.
kind of offset some of that fear.
For sure.
At the expense, obviously.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, okay, the big question is, would you do it all again?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I feel like I would continue to do this if I knew I could secure the cart here and still have it be mobile when I needed it to.
Yeah.
So I could see myself doing this long term. I mean, the
Yeah.
views help and the location helps,
Sure.
but the customers are amazing. We always have foot traffic. We get tourism through this area as well.
Yeah.
It's always been like a joy. I
Would
can't
you do it if
fault
you lost this spot and had to go into a high traffic industrial estate?
Potentially.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many factors to consider too, like where I live, how long I'm driving the cart in and out.
Yeah.
So it's about convenience for me and my lifestyle too. But yeah, I mean, I think this is such a good gig. It's like really simple in the sense that I show up, I make coffee. People are very happy usually to get their coffee.
Yeah.
I go home. I don't continue to work once I'm home.
Sure.
So there's very little admin and bookkeeping and ordering, and that kind of stuff is really
Yeah.
streamlined. So I will say it's a business that lets you have a really nice quality of life.
Okay.
So yeah,
Have
I
you
would
got
continue.
still got other business ventures on the side though?
Yes, I do.
Still
So I
doing-
do many things, which is why I love this. Is
Yeah,
like,
okay.
even when I'm not serving coffee, I can be answering an email, which I typically do.
Yeah.
I can be doing some admin stuff on the side.
Sure.
So it does allow me that freedom and flexibility
Yeah.
to do that.
Any upgrades or anything that you're looking to for the future, or do you feel you need to do anything?
Not really. Not
Yeah.
really. I think simple works for this size cart and this location.
Yeah.
At our other location, I would say, yeah, I'm looking to expand on some things up there. I've just got to wiggle in some time for me to be able to work that out,
Sure.
but it's coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I think there's a lot of people that will get a lot of value out of that. So many people have coming to us just like you did once upon a time, asking all the questions with this dream of having a beautiful coffee trailer just like this. It's not as easy as everyone thinks it could be, so you've done a great job of getting to this point and trading and having successful business. So well done to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Because they don't all work. I've seen a lot of them not work.
Yeah.
So it can be quite challenging. So good work on that.
Yes,
so thank you for your time. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. I can answer them. I'll come back to Tara and answer the questions if you have them. And thank you for watching. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button and the bell icon, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks. Bye.